The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Investing is the easiest way to double your money, especially when you do it right. Most of us need help with getting started, right? I'm telling you right now, Fifth Investments is the easiest way to take your first step. You can sign up for the Daily Trading Journal, weekly newsletter, including trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information on navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. We got a great episode for you today, but I appreciate you tuning in, man, to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you don't like, give us a call at 219-413-9405. If you hear something you do like, give us a call at 219-413-9405. Or even if you just want to outsmart me on something I said, just give us a call and let us know so we can play back your takes. So I appreciate you whether you're listening to me on Spotify, iPodcast, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, therunusa.com, or even YouTube. But look, man, it was a big night yesterday. Obviously, the Knicks and Miami Heat, and then you got the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, which was a solid game. The Lakers ended up winning Game 1, 117-112, and it was a fairly fashionable win for the Los Angeles Lakers, to be honest. So I'll give them an applause for that because it was solid. They played a great game, and truth be told, bro, they really came out there and just little bro'd the Warriors. If we're being honest about the situation and what really went down. The interior was a force to be reckoned with thanks to Anthony Davis. The paint protection was a force to be reckoned with because of Anthony Davis. They protected the paint well, they defended the paint well, and they exploited the Golden State Warriors paint. Another key factor here that makes a huge difference is the fact that the Golden State Warriors could not defend without giving up a foul. Oh my goodness. The Lakers shot 29 free throws. 29 free throws with 54 paint points. That was over 60% of their points that came just from free throws and paint points off the rip right there. So that's areas that the Warriors, to me, has to clean up in. But something I will say that I noticed throughout this game and actually throughout the playoffs, honestly, is that whenever the Lakers play well, it's because of Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis typically has a great game whenever the Lakers have a great game. You see what he did last night, had a almost a triple-double, I think it was, but he had 30 and 20-something rebounds, so it was crazy. He did his thing last night. It was hard for Looney to defend that because he's a much slower guy than Anthony Davis, which goes back to being in foul trouble, because if they weren't in foul trouble, then Draymond Green would have been able to play and defend Anthony Davis. Now, I'm not saying that Green would have been able to lock Anthony Davis up. Obviously, he was rolling. It wasn't much you could do. But in terms of defending, getting key stops, I'm sure it would have helped. In terms of getting rebounds, on top of what Looney was already doing, I'm sure it would have helped. On top of maybe throwing a different scheme at the Lakers, I'm sure it would have helped completely. So credit to the Lakers because they did their thing. They did their thing. But here's something that I really didn't understand with the Lakers, despite the great game that they had. Why wouldn't the Golden State Warriors allow the Lakers to beat them by shooting the three ball? They stunk at shooting the three ball last night. They made 1 3 out of all the threes they jacked up in the first half. And then even in the second half, they only made 4 threes out of all the threes they jacked up in that second half. So to me, I'm like, if you know this team cannot shoot the three ball well, force them to beat you by shooting the three ball. Close off the paint, bring everything to the paint, make sure they can't score in the paint. Even though the guarding a pick and roll with AD and D'Lo or AD and Bron is very difficult, I will admit that. It's extremely tough to guard. But you gotta, man, Put them bodies in the paint, bro. Put the bodies in the paint. Make the Lakers beat you by shooting. I think that's going to be a key piece or a key difference that we see in game 2 whenever that game airs, is that the Warriors are going to be a lot more focused on trying to keep everyone out of the paint and forcing the Lakers to beat them by shooting the 3 ball. Because as I was watching this game, I noticed, I'm like, okay, Lakers are only getting points inside the arc. They're not really getting any 3-point shots that's giving them 3 points. They're just consistently making 2-point shots, whether it's a layup, whether it's a mid-range, whether it's a free throw line shot or anything. It's just consistent 2-point shots, which allowed them to go toe-to-toe with the Warriors, although the Warriors had a pretty good shooting night, honestly, because they didn't shoot bad from the 3-point line. It's just the fact that the Lakers were able to keep up because they continued to score bucket after bucket. So to me, between the paint protection, playing defense without fouling, and allowing the Lakers to shoot threes, those are key 3 differences or 3 key differences that need to change come game 2. I'm not letting the Lakers beat me by exploiting my paint again. It's not happening. I'm letting them shoot as many threes as they want. If they beat me by shooting threes, so be it. You earned it. But I highly doubt that's going to happen because they're going to shoot a whole lot more and miss a whole lot more than what they make. So that's my thoughts on that, man. But look, we got some voicemail callers. We got one of them in here today. So let's hear what he's talking about. Let's hear his thoughts on this Lakers game.
What's good, man? It's your boy, Boots.
What's the deal,
Here
Boots?
to talk about the game last night, man.
Let's do it.
Let you know that it's going to be Lakers in 6. I'm sorry.
Lakers in 6?
Like, Draymond struggled with Sabonis last series. This is a whole new monster, AD. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be a tough cover. It's going to be a long series for Draymond. No cap. But on the bright side of things, I think, you feel me, Looney keeping them boys afloat over there, man. Other than that, man, I feel like it's Lakers in 6 because Bron ain't even got to do it all no more. Every time Bron faced Curry, Bron literally had to do every single thing. Now he ain't got to do it all no more, man. He's for the clean house now, man. GG's to Warriors.
Okay. All right. First off, I agree with about 85% of what you said. The thing with Draymond Green and it being extremely different from Anthony Davis and guarding Anthony Davis, that's the first thing I want to mention because you're right. You're 100% right. Anthony Davis is a completely different monster than Sabonis. But you got to remember, man, that's 2 different teams. So Sabonis, when he was getting his little cleanup buckets and grabbing his boards and stuff, it's really because they have a lot of pieces surrounding them in that Sacramento Kings team. It wasn't like Sabonis was just out there killing Draymond with moves or killing Draymond on the points on one-on-one situations. That wasn't the case at all. It was really because Draymond was worried about De'Aaron Fox scoring in the paint. He was worried about Malik Monk scoring in the paint. He was worried about the shooters that they have over there. That's really was the key difference between Sabonis and Draymond. Obviously, Sabonis gave him a bit of battle on the boards and stuff. I'll give him that credit. But when you talk about the difference between Sabonis and AD and Draymond guarding both of them, it's 2 completely different ball games. I think AD is still going to be able to dominate come Draymond Green not being in foul trouble or whatever the case is. Only difference is it's going to be more difficult for AD to get those points because Looney is not as fast as Draymond Green. Looney is slower than Draymond Green. So when he's guarding Anthony Davis, he's getting killed. On a pick and roll, he's getting killed. If AD picks and pop, he's getting killed. If AD is zooming full court speed on a break, Looney is getting killed. Like, it's that simple. So when you throw Draymond back into the equation in terms of defending Anthony Davis, yes, obviously AD got the size advantage and all of that. He's a taller player. He's still probably going to get his board. It's nothing you can do about that. He's a great player. He's going to get his regardless. But at the end of the day, Draymond is going to be able to help out in certain situations that Looney just can't be better in, honestly, in terms of passing, in terms of grabbing loose balls, in terms of the pick and roll, defending the pick and roll because Draymond's quicker. It's just certain things that will benefit Draymond Green from guarding Anthony Davis versus where Looney was guarding Anthony Davis. It's 2 different players. Obviously, it comes with the give and take. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be a complete shit show if Anthony Davis is defended by Draymond Green rather than Looney. Both of them do a great job, but Anthony Davis is going to get his regardless, either way. Second thing, Lakers in 6. I'm not too upset about that, but I'm going to go Lakers in 7. I'm going to go Lakers in 7. I think it's going to be tough for the Warriors. Obviously, they're smaller, but they're mighty, so they're going to go ahead and push for further and further games. We know what the hell Steph Curry can do. We know what Klay can do. We know what Wiggs can do. We know what Dre and Poole can do. We know what these guys bring to the table when they hoop. It's going to be a dogfight regardless, but ultimately, the deciding factor is going to be if the Lakers can continue to dominate in the paint and start getting that three-point shot rolling. Once they start doing that, then it may be over for the Golden State Warriors. And when I think push comes to shove, when the players need to, the role guys on the Lakers need to step up and make these open shots, that's what we're gonna need to see. That's really what we're gonna need to see, because if AD is still doing this thing in the paint, Bron is still defending well, the other role guys are still defending well, and they can also make threes on top of all of that, it's going to be bad for the Warriors. It's going to be bad. And I'm going to just leave it at that. But as far as right now, I got Lakers in 7. But I won't be surprised if the Warriors actually, shook things up and shook my prediction up. But look, we'll take a quick break. We got the New York Knicks and Miami Heat series. I got a few things to say about that. Obviously, some more news coming up. The Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, all of that stuff coming up. So we'll be right back in just a sec. All right, in the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat series, the games are split 1-1 in this series. Game 2, the New York Knicks won 111-105. It was actually a pretty solid game here. It was a great bounce back win for the New York Knicks. Personally, some things that I seen in game 1 was completely different in game 2. One of those things being the shooting. Obviously, it was a huge emphasis on the shooting for the New York Knicks. They came back. They shot a lot better. Brunson, a guy who went 0 for 7 in game 1 shooting from the three-point line, came back in game 2, gave 30 points, which was huge for the New York Knicks. But outside of Brunson, he had a lot of help with Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Josh Hart. Josh Hart, truthfully, was an underdog in this game here. And I say this because he made a lot of crucial plays down the stretch in key moments of the game. He was one assist shy from a triple-double, had 14 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, did his thing, cleaned up wherever he was needed, and in the game, this really paid off down the stretch. But you got to keep in mind here, I'm not going to glorify the New York Knicks win too much because, truthfully, there was no Jimmy Butler, obviously. A lot of people expected the Knicks to win this game due to the fact that there was no Jimmy Butler in this game. But what I'll say, Miami gave a great game. They fought very hard. They still play very similar with or without Jimmy Butler. You're going to see a gritty team. You're going to see a defensive team who's trying to fight hard every play they can. And they still share the rock. They still run their sets to perfection when when Jimmy Butler is not in the game. So that's one of the things there. However, when you add Jimmy Butler to the equation like you will come game 3, they have their closer. They have their guy they're looking to down the stretch when they need a bucket. When they need a momentum shift, they have that guy, Jimmy Butler. They was missing that dude in game 2, so things was a little bit shaky. The Knicks were able to carry out momentum. They still had swings up and down the court and throughout the game that benefited them and didn't go their way. But ultimately, Jimmy Butler brings something more important than scoring, more important than rebounding, than anything you can get in the statistical category, which is the energy. The energy. I tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, it's a reason why Patrick Beverley is still on NBA teams today. He may not be the most skillful, but he's going to bring you energy. Those energy guys make a key difference in any game. Jimmy Butler happens to be an energy guy with some skill on top of it. So it's going to get nasty when he comes back. It's going to be tough for the Knicks to win in game 3 when you have the great team in the Miami Heat and you add the energy of Jimmy Butler and the skill of Jimmy Butler. Because let me tell you something, the rebounds that Josh Hart was getting at the end of the game, the rebounds that Julius Randle was getting at the end of the game, the loose balls that the Knicks were getting during the crucial stretches of the game, Jimmy Butler is going to be there to fight for those loose balls and stuff. So I'm just saying, great win for the Knicks. Great win. Kudos to them. It was a very solid game. They earned it. But certain things that was slanted in the statistical category may not be that way. Knicks getting double the amount of second chance points that Miami had throughout the game. The Knicks getting 15 more rebounds than what the Miami Heat had. Some of those things are just not going to fly because when you're around positive energy, you're going to do positive things. When you're around intense energy, you're going to be more intense. When you're around hype energy, you're going to be hype. That's just how it goes, right? That's exactly how it goes. So kudos to the Knicks. They did their thing, but ultimately I think the Miami Heat bounced back game 2. If I had to choose a prediction for this series, man, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. It's really a toss-up because both teams stack up against each other very well. I personally want to ride with Miami to win this series. I would love to see them advance to the next round, but I'm not going to be afraid to say New York Knicks in 7. But it's a toss-up. It's just going to 7 games. I'm not even going to throw a name out there. It's just going to 7 games. Let's just put it that way and call a spade a spade. Let's do it. All right, so let's do it, man. We got some news for the run as well. Starting off with the NHL playoffs. Last night, the Seattle Kraken beat the Dallas Stars 5-1 in Game 1. Kraken, they now lead the series 1-0. The Florida Panthers, they walked all over the Maple Leafs, winning 4-2. The Panthers, they have an advantage in this series, leading 1-0. In a couple of games from the MLB last night, the Los Angeles Dodgers, they stomped over the Phillies, winning 13-1. The Tampa Bay Rays, they beat the Pirates 4-1. White Sox actually won a game over the Twins, winning 3-2. The Cubs, they fell short to the Nationals, losing 4-1. The Red Sox, they beat the Blue Jays in a close game, 7-6. And the Yankees, they defeated the Guardians 4-2. Now, some NBA games you can expect today and some things you can expect from the NBA today. Obviously, Joel Embiid, kudos to him. He is the MVP of the NBA, National Basketball Association. He won the MVP award, so kudos to Joel Embiid for that. It is 100% well-deserved. I know I mentioned that Jokic should win, and I know I said Jokic should win, but what's crazy is actually the more the season went on, the more my opinion started to side with Joel Embiid, man. It was just the fact that, you know, when you talk about 3-time MVP, 3-time back-to-back MVP, like, you're putting somebody up there with the greats. Like, Shaq isn't even a 3-time back-to-back-to-back MVP type of player. Kobe didn't even win it 3 times back-to-back-to-back-to-back. Like, you're putting them up there with some elite company if you give Jokic 3 MVPs back-to-back-to-back-to-back. Like, that's crazy. So to me, hearing that and then kind of dwelling on that, it made me realize too, Joel Embiid, he's been great on the defensive end. It's honestly well deserving for both, but definitely Embiid, I'm glad that he got that MVP. Another great thing too is that he's going to be joining the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 2. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, to touch on this series with the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers, a couple things I noticed from Game 1 that need to change in Game 2. Obviously, we've seen that miraculous performance from James Harden in Game 1. Had 45 points, led his team to a victory over the Boston Celtics in Game 1. They stole Game 1 in Boston, which was amazing. But here's some things Boston needs to change if they want this game to be just as competitive or if they want to actually win this game. First things first, I need Jaylen Brown to be much more aggressive. Much more aggressive. Jaylen Brown took only 3 shots in the second half. How the hell can you expect to win a game when you take 3 shots in the second half and you're a pivotal key player on a team that's going against top tier talent in the playoffs? This is the playoffs. I always give Jaylen Brown so much credit for being a dog on the court between him and Jason Tatum. I always give that dog emphasis to Jaylen Brown of being the one who's the go-getter, the one who's always more aggressive. But damn it, that was not what I seen in Game 1. That has to change in Game 2, or the Philadelphia 76ers are going to whack the Boston Celtics in Game 2. That has to change. Tatum had a solid game. He did his thing. He shot pretty bad too at some points, especially in that second half. A lot of the Celtics did, truthfully, and that's what I think was really the turning moment and why they didn't win that game, on top of Jaylen Brown not being as aggressive, is that they didn't shoot as good. But also too, how can you expect to get in a rhythm if you only shoot 3 shots throughout the second half? What type of shit is that? like seriously, bro. The system runs through you. Between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the system runs through those two in terms of why the Boston Celtics are such a great team. It's because of that dynamic duo. And if one of those guys are sitting in the corner watching Jason Tatum do his thing, watching Al Horford in a post, watching Marcus Smart jack up shots, watching everybody else on the floor instead of acting and doing his thing, or at least taking shots, it's hard for them to both get going. And we know when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both get going, things get nasty. We know that. So it's going to get even more nasty come game 2, not on the Boston Celtics side, but on the Philadelphia 76ers side. Because yes, James Harden's coming off a big night with 45. Then you got the MVP Joel Embiid coming back in game 2. Yes, he recently announced that he's coming back and playing in game 2. So it's going to be crucial because he's going to get his 28, 29, 30 points. James Harden is still going to be somewhat aggressive because he's coming off a big night after 45 points. Maxey had a pretty solid night. Tobias Harris had a pretty solid night. So it's a lot of momentum siding with the Philadelphia 76ers here. And for the Boston Celtics to ruin that momentum, cut that momentum short, they're going to have to make shots. They're going to have to shoot a lot better than what they did in game 1. And Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are both going to be aggressive. They have to be aggressive if they want to win this ball game in game 2. All right, man. So as far as the prediction in this series here, I'm hoping for a great series. I would not be mad if Philly went to the finals or the conference finals, I should say, because it's only second round. I would not be mad. I would actually be kind of happy because Joel Embiid has been balling for a minute now. Harden has been balling for a decade now, actually. So I would love to see the Philadelphia 76ers go there. But the Boston Celtics, they play good sometimes. Sometimes they play bad. And I'll notice a lot of times the consistency is not there that I've witnessed in the past few years. And that hunger that I've witnessed from them the past few years, to me, it seems like they kind of have a confidence that's telling them, oh, we'll be great. We got another game. And maybe it's the experience. Maybe it's the experience of going all the way to the finals where they know, well, we just got to correct our mistakes. Maybe that's the case of why they don't look as hungry in this season or this postseason versus last year. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Philly. I hope Philly wins. This is a shocker for me because I like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that duo. But I hope Philly wins this series. And I think it's going to at least go to 6 games for sure. 100% going to 6 games. But anyway, look, man, I appreciate you for hanging with me. If you heard something you did not like or that you did like, give us a call, 219-413-9405. We will air your take and I will respond. So even if you want to outsmart me, go ahead, shoot us a call and leave your quick take, share your thoughts on that. But I appreciate you whether you're listening to me on Spotify, iPodcast, iHeartRadio, TheRunUSA.com, YouTube. Either way, share this with a neighbor, a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a coworker, someone who is nearby you. I promise you they will not mind, especially if I talked about their team. All right, so until then, though, I appreciate you hanging with me, and we will be back later on next week, and so on, and so on, and so on. The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Sports betting is cool, but you can really get the most out of your money trading in the stock market. You can make money when stocks go up, man. You can make money when stocks go down. But all you need is a little guidance. So use the Fifth Investment Stock Trading Journal to help you get started right away. Fifth Investments is a fantastic resource for daily trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information for navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.